Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Where Do We Begin? My name is Harper and my co-host is Lockie. How are you on this fine day, Lockie?
I'm absolutely exceptional and I'm just pumped to sit down with one of the greatest hockey players of all time.
Yeah, so am I. I bet you guys will love this chat, even if you're not into hockey at all. We're not the biggest hockey fans in the world ourselves. We don't claim to be, but we do love good chats with good people, and that's exactly what Alyson Annan is. So should we just get straight into it?
Let's dive in.
Now, I've got to say, I get super excited for every guest we have on the show, but this one is it's truly an honour to have this guest on the show. I know she's a pretty humble woman, but I'll do the bragging on her behalf. So she's the record goal scorer for the Hockeyroos. She's won 2 Olympic gold medals, 2 Hockey World Cups, and she's just one of the greatest hockey players of all time, really. And on top of that, she is coaching the best women's hockey national team in the world right now. I'm delighted to welcome onto the show Alyson Annan. How are you?
Good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, we're going pretty well. Lockie, how are you, mate?
Mate, I'm superb. As I was telling Alyson before off air, just, went for a run, went down to the beach. I'm absolutely on that endorphin high that exercise gives you, so I'm going superbly. And also, I'm just pumped. I'm so pumped and excited. I just love learning new things. And to be honest, I've never played hockey before, but it is just an honour that we have one of the greatest that's ever done it on the show to talk about it and teach us some stuff. And I'll ask the first question, Alyson. Normally we ask it, but I like how you asked it. Got on the front foot. It's a good sign of things to come. And so my first question, though, which is it's always a real tough one, is, well, how's 2020 been for you? Because I'm sure it hasn't gone exactly how you planned it, being an Olympic year and no Olympics occurring.
Yeah, look, it has been, it has been a difficult year for everyone. I don't think we're any exception. The biggest difference for us is that we were definitely working towards Olympic Games. We started this year with 6 months preparation, a little over 6 months preparation to Olympic Games, and halfway to the Olympics, it sort of taken away, and I guess we were pretty much preparing from the beginning of the year that this could be a possibility. We were actually in China in January of this year, and before we arrived there, we'd heard of a virus that was spreading quite vividly in China. So we were aware of something that was happening when we arrived in America. A week later, it was worldwide. So for us, it was not something that we weren't expecting. We were pretty much preparing ourselves for the possibility the Olympics wouldn't go ahead. When it was announced that it was cancelled, we were prepared. It's been difficult in Holland with the different lockdowns, with the different phases in the lockdowns. We haven't yet had a total lockdown, which is disappointing on one side of things, but there's not been so much isolation as in other countries.
Yeah, just so Alyson, you obviously is the just for any listeners wondering, so she's a coach of the best women's hockey team in the world, the number one, the Netherlands team. When did you find out that the Olympics weren't going ahead, and I guess how did you deal with that? Because it must have been such a shock, because there's so much preparation going into these games. 4 years of preparation. I know that it's in athletics. I'm sure it's similar in hockey in that it's sort of like it's a big milestone event. I guess how did you deal with that disappointment of finding out just probably however long before that it was cancelled?
Yeah, like I said, we'd kind of been preparing. So we've been talking about it. There might be a chance. The chances
was it still a surprise when it did happen?
It was disappointment, but it wasn't a surprise. So I guess that takes a little bit of the heaviness of the disappointment away. It was before the announcement. It was okay. Let's prepare ourselves. So we're going to prepare a new summer. Talking to the players, it could happen. It got actually officially announced. We had a Zoom coffee with the team in the morning, the day that it got cancelled for definite. And that morning we said, look, what are the chances? And I just said to them, look, it's not going to happen. So let's just move forward. And the girls were good. I gave them some time to think about what they wanted, because there was going to be players that are going to stop. Other girls saw more opportunity. So, I guess for us, the disappointment wasn't as big as it could have been if we weren't surprised, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I know, like at all levels of all sports, the coach is the person that all the players are looking for any words that they're saying or words of advice, anything like that. So well, it must have been pretty tough for you to remain level-headed in public, at least in the public eye, and keep the optimism and keep working for the Olympics, which hopefully are going to be in 2021.
Oh, look, I have no problem with changing. I have no problem with being flexible. I have seen this as giving us more chances and more options to do new things. So I've really, there's pretty much not been one point this year where I've looked at it negatively. Of course, it's disappointing that it's not gone ahead, but at this year I've seen a lot of opportunities, and I've moved ahead positively. And with in doing that, I think that's made for the girls a lot easier. Has it been easy? No. It's been extremely difficult this year because I've had to, my flexibility levels have been increased enormously. I don't think I've written as many programs in 1 year as I have in the last 5. It's just, there's been weeks where I've made a program for the next 6 months, and then a week later I had to change it, and a week later after that I've had to change it. There's been moments where, within days that I've had to, change the program. So, it's opportunity. And if you look at it negatively, then you won't see the opportunity. So, I've really looked at this year as chance.
I love that attitude. I love just the positive outlook, because you can either look at it one way or the other, and I love how you look at it as an opportunity to improve and grow, which is really the best thing you can really take and do in the circumstances. And I guess with with more events happening, particularly in Australia, with looking like the Australian Open will go ahead, are you confident that the Olympics will occur in 2021?
Oh, look, if you were to ask me this 3 months ago, I would say there's not a chance. Absolutely no chance in the world. Now I think that there's 50% chance it'll go ahead. I think that the vaccine is going to help. I think that and it's not just about having the vaccine, it's about getting it to everyone that needs it first, and then the athletes who want it and need it to perform. The last thing I would want is that we as athletes are given a vaccine before the rest who need it to play in Olympic Games. I just don't think that that's ethically okay. And it needs to be worldwide. So you need to make sure that all of the countries that would take place in the Olympic Games are still able to. So those are the things that, keep me the 50% that may not go ahead. And also the challenges of so many athletes in Olympic Village, feeding them, cleaning, sanitizing, those things, I just, that I'm hesitant about that.
Yeah, in the days, weeks leading up to the announcement of if it will go ahead, if it's still 50-50 then, and they do end up saying that it will go ahead, are you going to be totally comfortable going to Japan with people from around the world just in the Olympic event as a whole?
If it goes ahead, it goes ahead. We'll be prepared either way, and we'll make sure that we're prepared to go to the Olympics to win gold. That's our main goal. That's our main aim. And all of the aspects around that we have no control of. So the only thing we need to make sure that we keep control of what we can control, and let the rest take care of itself. And if it's not ideal, it's not ideal. But we'll be preparing to go to the Olympics, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, you worry about the things that you can control, like your training, your preparation, the rest of the stuff. Why stress yourself over it? You stressing is not going to change the outcome. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. Not that my opinion matters much. I'm just sitting at home doing a podcast. But I guess
everyone's opinion counts, Lockie? Everyone's opinion counts.
Oh, I might make that into a bumper sticker. I love that. Now, let's go talk about your start of your career. And more importantly, I guess, how did you get started in hockey? I'd love to know what sort of sparked the love and your interest in the game.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I had no clue what hockey was. I had absolutely no interest in hockey. What happened we came from a family we didn't come from a rich background. We didn't come from a poor background, but we didn't come from a rich background. So we had one car, a brother and a sister who wanted to play sport. You could only be at one place at one time. So we played sport together. At the beginning, it was soccer. At one stage, as a girl, I wasn't allowed to play. Excuse me. I wasn't allowed to play soccer anymore. So the next best thing was, I think we saw at the supermarket a call up for hockey players, and that became our sport. So nothing really interesting.
I was just going to ask, so how old were you when you got your start in hockey?
I think I was about 10. I enjoyed playing soccer. And 10, played in the under 12, and I played in boys hockey for 3 years. I didn't know that girls played hockey. I thought it was a boys' sport.
That's pretty amazing, because just 8 years later, you were out there strutting your stuff for the Hockeyroos. So were you always a bit of a hot prospect? Like, you just had the knack for hockey from the start, or did you put in just way more effort year on year than everyone else that you played with?
Oh, look, I did a lot. So I combined a lot of different sports. I had to work hard to get where I was. But I also had people surrounding me that assisted me in achieving and getting the best out of myself. So there's a lot of people who are an integral part of my youth growing up, who were pillars in my growth. Had I not had them in my youth, I wouldn't have been the person and player I am today, or coach. They have definitely formed who I was as a player and formed me as a person. And I was lucky enough to meet them at a young age.
So what's a pathway for hockey? So how do you sort of go on to represent Australia? I'd be really interested in that. I don't know, I'm 22, my best years are ahead of me. I might become super inspired from this interviewing you, and I might go pick up a stick. Although judging by my other sports, I won't be any good.
Look, look, in Australia, you've got the school sport, and it starts there. You play school sport, you play state sport, state schools. From there, you go. Your club. You go to a club. You get selected with the national of a state side. So you go from school to club to regionals. There's a whole pathway put out for you. It's completely different here in Holland. I think that Australia have a very good sporting system and sporting ladder to
consistently punching above our weight in most sports, aren't we?
It is, and it's because of school sports. School sports is an integral part of growing up in Australia, and that is not the case in a lot of countries. We don't play. My sons go to school here. They don't play school sport.
Really?
They have twice a week an hour gym, and that's it. They don't play school sport. If you want to be involved in sport in Holland, it's pretty much you have to be involved in a club, and clubs cost money. It's a sort of elite status here. The most kids play football, soccer because it's easy and accessible. You don't need much equipment. But in Australia, it's an integral part of your life, and that makes the steps towards making a national team, making a state team, national team. The pathway's there for you. It's what you do with the pathway that makes the difference.
Yeah, I know in your era, obviously the Australian team was one of, if not the best in the world consistently. But back when you were growing up, did you have many Hockeyroos or men's players, kookaburras to look up to? Was hockey something that you were a fan of watching, not only playing?
Once I started playing, I started being more interested in the game. I definitely had my idols in the sport, and I was fortunate enough to come in contact with them at a very early age. I know I trained when I think I was 14 or 15 when I trained with my first idol, Kim Small, Loretta Dorman, both national players that I was able to train with at a young age, being given the opportunity to do so. I was coached by Beth Shea, Judy Lang, both state players, very good state players, who also gave me the opportunity to train at a higher and elite level. Greg Corbin was the New South Wales women's coach who brought in a very young player to be able to train with the very best. These are people that gave me opportunity, and I had my John Robinson as it was my old third grade school teacher, who was the president of the local hockey association, who really also gave me the pathway to become a better player and a better person. So look, these people were my idols back then, all of them. And when you're surrounded by, I remember a training that I was, being a little bit lazy, and Loretta Dorman, national player, knew exactly what you needed to get there, just, told me in no uncertain way that I was being a lazy shit and I needed to get my act together if I wanted to make it. So, get moving. And those are the people that helped me become the player who I was.
I'd love to know, so what attributes make a great hockey player from your perspective as both having coached at the highest level and played at the highest level? What are the key attributes to really succeed in the sport?
Look, I guess you have to be you have to have a high learning curve. So I really believe that if you can teach someone to run, the people can run, right? So speed's one thing, but speed is not everything. So I would say I'm just trying to find the English word. It's been a long time since I've had to say this in English. I generally say it in Dutch. Yeah? So you have to be agile. You definitely have to have a conditional background. So your conditioning has to be very good. So stamina, a lot of stamina. Speed is always helps. So that's like the physical side of things. I think if you're physically adept, then we can teach people to play hockey. So it's not all that. It is a difficult game, but you can teach people skills to play hockey. And I think the mental side of things definitely needs to take a bigger role in what makes or breaks a player. Not everyone, you can have the best players who aren't mentally capable, so you need to spend more time with them on the mental aspects of the game. Being stress, being able to cope with stress, making the right decisions, saying that. So those are those sorts of things also play a role in becoming a very good player.
Yeah, I know. In '92, which was a year after you debuted, I think you guys finished 5th at the Olympics, and then a year later, I believe in '93, Rick Charlesworth, he comes in, and that just brings in a golden era of women's hockey in Australia, really. So was he just like this amazing guy, just completely transformed it from the start? Because you won Olympic gold just 3 years later. So was it instant impact?
Yeah. Look, I think that Rick did a lot of great things, but I really believe also that the golden era started in '88, right? So that's the first time that they won gold under Brian Glencross. And a lot of the stories in theory it began with Rick, but in theory it began with Brian Glencross, and he, in his own way, made a change back in '85. You guys weren't even born then, I think. 85.
Definitely not.
86. Yeah, exactly. So they really changed. Brian made a change, and they won in '88. They were successful, through, and they didn't win everything, but they were successful. They were in the top 2-3. The Olympic Games in Barcelona was the first tournament that the Australian team didn't succeed. That we didn't succeed. Had we won there, and Rick would have taken over in '93, the golden era would have started in '88. So I think that needs to be said, that it's not. Rick did a lot of different things, and he did change the way we played. He was innovative. He really changed the way the game today. But for Australian hockey, it did start under Brian Glencross.
So what do you think was the biggest change? Because in 1996 you went on to win the gold. So do you think it's what Rick brought to the table? Do you think it was, I guess, the consistency in that team, having a couple more years, getting to play together, learning to know each other, the way that you play? What do you think was the biggest difference from the 1992 and the 1996 teams that enjoyed the ultimate success?
Yeah, look, I think what Rick did is Rick, we were always ahead of other teams. So he was innovative in such a sense that other teams were looking at us and catching up. So it was like a catch-up game, which meant that if he kept being innovative, then we kept we stayed at number one. And we also had a very good team. We had a great group of players who were all very good. There wasn't any weak link anywhere. That's my son. Any weak link anywhere in the team, and that's he did that through hard work. And we had a group of players who knew what it was to work hard, who were competitive within our team. We were very competitive. We wanted to be the best, and we worked hard together.
Yeah, that's just great. Really kind of amazing, just transformation from like the Golden Era starting in '88, and then where you coming in, just having that amazing period that you were part of the Hockeyroos for, or almost successful for most of your career, just at the top of the Australian game, and obviously winning those gold medals in '96 and 2000. Was there much of a difference between the team and the way the team played between '96 and 2000, or was it just more of the same?
Well, it was different. So there were changes made. There were changes made also with the playing group. So the leadership group. The way we trained didn't change too much. So we trained pretty much the same way. At least that's what we think. So me as a coach now, I change things regularly, and hopefully they think that it's the same, so that they don't feel any sort of. For me, the changing process has to be subtle, so that it doesn't bring too much resistance. So I think that maybe there were changes back in the time that we didn't really take note of. The players group stayed pretty much the same, with a few changes within the playing group. We did change our system, which kept us alert, that was sort of, keep the mind awake, challenge the mind as well. So we changed the system, but generally the rest pretty much stayed constant. And that's also part of a good program. The consistency in a program is also very important. If you change the system, you change parts of the system. If there's too much disruption in the program, then it's very difficult to be successful.
Yeah, you can't learn, I guess, if you're constantly changing parts to the program. So, yeah, I definitely get that consistency now. What was it like? Home Olympics 2000. That must have been amazing, being able to represent your country in hockey at home, especially in Sydney. Growing up in New South Wales, I can only imagine how amazing that was.
It was absolutely fantastic. We played the Olympic Games on, a training pitch that I trained on, for the last 10 years.
Wow.
It was absolutely fantastic, and I think, looking back even now, and it's sometimes it's almost difficult to say it because people think that, you're just biased because it's your country, but, Australia put on the best Olympics ever. And, the Sydney should be very proud, and Australia should be very proud of those Olympics. They set, the standard for the rest of the Olympics the years after. It was, I've never been able to play a game with all of the people who were significant in my career, in my life, at one place at one time. And, that happened at the Olympic Games. In the Olympic final, there were pretty much every person that was an integral part of my life was able to share that moment with us. And that was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I don't want to make either of you two feel old, or any of our listeners feel old, but I wasn't alive
you weren't born.
in 2000. But watching,
I was too.
watching some of the recent, it was the 20-year anniversary, of course, this year. Watching some old highlights on TV, some reruns of some of the events, and like the opening ceremony, and of course Kathy Freeman's famous sprint. It really gives you goosebumps. Honestly, I've got goosebumps right now just thinking about it. I can't imagine you. Mm-hmm. It's just pretty surreal and pretty amazing. I don't want to just go over and over, but it must have been so amazing for you and dream come true.
Yeah, look, generally we don't, as athletes, go to the opening ceremony for hockey because we played the day after. And, we had a meeting within our team with the staff, okay, so we play the next day I think we played at 6:00 that night. So the day after the opening, normally we wouldn't go to the opening ceremony, and I remember, it was, okay, what do we want to do? And I just said, look, guys, this is once in a lifetime that you get to be in an opening ceremony at your own, city where you grew up in, the own country. I think that we should do it. And we did. And, I was fortunate to walk in next to Kathy Freeman, and it wasn't yet known who was going to be, lighting the flame. And I just remember walking on with her, and she was such a jovial person, and it was absolutely fantastic, coming into that crowd as the last team, the home team, in front of such a huge crowd. And then at one point she was gone. So it was like, I just, I looked to my right and I'm like, okay, so she's doing it. How cool is that? And the way, her entrance and her clothes, it was absolutely fantastic. And I think for us as a hockey team, we were very fortunate to have Rochelle Hawkes in our team who did the Olympic oath. And we were so very proud to have an athlete out of our sport, and such an athlete. She's the only, alongside of Dawn Fraser, to have 3 Olympic golds at 3 different Olympics. That's such a proud moment for her, but also for our sport. It was absolutely sensational.
Yeah, and I guess this is such a broad question, but it's tough. I can hear the warmth of you remembering and reminiscing about those Olympics. But what do you think? What was your favourite moment of your career? You achieved so much, but out of your playing career, what moment or part do you think is something that you're most proud of?
It's not an easy question.
It's not, is it? It's the broad ones are the toughest.
Well, it's not an easy question because, I was proud of just being part of the team. Yep. So, I always say the Olympic medals, they're somewhere in a cupboard here. They're more for the show, for people who want to see a gold medal. I don't hang them up. I don't have them on show because, the warmest and the proudest moments that I have are the moments that we spent training together, working hard, laughing together, crying together, creating a team. That's winning tournaments is sort of like the, proving that what you've done has been good. That's been right, and that we were the best. But I'm proud of every single teammate I've ever played with because they made the Hockeyroos. They made the player that I was, just as I, played a role in helping them be the player that they were, and that's what I'm proud of.
Yeah, I usually don't get too philosophical. I hope I don't use too many cliches either, but journey, not destination, eh? Like, that's just the epitome, like enjoying the moments spent with your friends and your team. It's not the kind of material things, the gold medals, just showing off those gold medals. And it's like you said, the experiences you have. I've obviously had nothing like that, but I guess everyone can relate to the journey, not the destination, huh?
I can tell why Alyson's a good coach. She spoke like a true coach there. I love that. And it's true, though. It's like it's the journey that's the most enjoyable part, isn't it?
Look, absolutely. And, along the way, there are moments that you just hate it. It's not fun.
Those hard running sessions.
Well, it is. Everyone said, you should enjoy it. It's not fun. It's not fun all the time.
That's what makes it good. The ups and downs of the whole journey is what really just makes it worthwhile, getting that gold medal or the Hockey World Cup win.
Absolutely. And if you enter a program or a national program thinking that it's all about having fun, it's not. But the environment has to be fun. The environment that you're in, that you create, has to be an environment where people want to perform, but also know that there are going to be hard times. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be absolutely good times. But, you have to. You also have to have moments where it's just fun.
Yeah, of course. We're moving off from that as much as I hate to, but moving to the Netherlands, obviously, for anyone that knows hockey, powerhouse now, like they're the place to go if you want to be part of amazing women's hockey or hockey in general culture. Was it like that when you moved there first as a player? And obviously it's grown since you've become a coach up to now, but was it like that really? Could you really see the strength in that when you first moved?
Look, in the women's program, I think back when I moved over, it was definitely the case. I think there were more teams in the first division that were very good. So the competition was a little stronger. Unfortunately, over the last few years, a lot of players have moved to the top three teams, which means that the competition is not as broad as what it could be. The culture around the sport here, so, is very strong. Every club has a clubhouse. Every club here has a couple of thousand players in that club with a clubhouse, with own hockey fields. It's, the environment here is absolutely fantastic to become a very good hockey player.
Do you get paid to play club hockey over into the Netherlands?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
Well, we're not a professional sport, so once you ask players to not go to work, then you should. Well, look, if you're training throughout the day, if you're training on a Thursday from 9 till 1, they can't go to work. So I think that for those hours.
So over there, like players are just full-time hockey players. Some of them that play for clubs in the country.
Well, a lot of players in the top teams just play hockey. And because they train throughout the day, so they'll train maybe twice Tuesday, twice Thursday, once Friday, and then play Sunday.
Has it always been like that? Was it like that when you were playing? Were you just playing full-time hockey during your career?
Well, I in Australia I was working also to support myself, but also to. I think part of growing is that this needs to work as well. You need to. Your brain needs to be stimulated doing other things. So, that was part of something that I really believe in. Nowadays, if you look at the national players, there's very little time for them to be working, but they study. A lot of I think 95% of our players study.
So what sort of work were you doing then during your career? Or you're playing, so you'd be training hockey and then...
I worked in a cake shop. I cleaned companies. I was a cleaner. I mowed lawns. All things that you could pick up and put down pretty much straight away. I did an internship for a few days a week at a veterinary clinic because I wanted to go into veterinary science. I did a bit of, I was kind of trying to find out what I enjoyed, what I wanted, but I did some intern work. As I was marking papers. I was kind of doing a lot of different things just to fill time, but also to earn a little bit of extra money to be able to pay the bills.
Yeah, and I've heard, I feel like you've spoken about those experiences before, because am I correct? We're talking about that transition into coaching. You've also got involved in businesses so you could learn how to manage people. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah. So look, I moved pretty much straight from being a player into a coach, and I missed certain skill sets that I knew that I missed. I was living in a different culture. I made the mistake of trying to force the Australian culture onto the Dutch culture. It didn't work. It worked in some aspects, but I had to respect the Dutch culture, coaching, and just train a few teams. And went into the management because I did a commercial economics degree here in Holland, managed three different companies. And after that, decided, okay, my skill sets is now bigger. I've learned a lot. Went back into coaching as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What I'm kind of interested in, Lockie and I were having a bit of a chat about this before the show. In Australia, hockey is considered a bit more of a rich people sport than, say, your Aussie rules or your rugby league or something like that. Is it the same over in the Netherlands, or is it more the sport of the people? Obviously, you've got football, soccer as well.
Look, it is more accessible because here, look, in Australia, I think there's more hockey fields in Amsterdam than there is in all of Australia.
Oh, wow.
At our club here, we have, the club that my son plays in, there's 5 pitches. There's a club, 100 metres further up that's got 4. There's another one, 100 metres to the left that's also got 4. And that's only one area in Amsterdam. So being accessible to be able to train on, hockey fields that's not grass, because I think in Australia they still play on grass, which I'm not adverse to. I think that, you could play on grass. Given the weather in Holland, it makes it difficult to play on grass because it's wet. It's cold often, so it's wet, which means you have to play on pitches. It does make it an elite sport. To pay for a hockey field is an expensive thing. As an athlete, you need the right shoes, you need shin pads, you need a mouth guard, you need a hockey stick, and then you pay your fees. I think you're $1,000 further. That's not for everyone,
Definitely.
Unfortunately. I'd like to see it, much more accessible for more people to be able to play. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm by no means a hockey expert or anything like that, but the few times I've played it just for PE class or whatever, and especially watching it, I love watching it, but the few times I've played it, it's just such an enjoyable thing, and it would just be great if it was more accessible to everyone because it's a sport that I think so many people would enjoy. So
it's a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, to the sports minister, the federal sports minister, if he's listening, put some more funding into hockey, please. That would be much appreciated from the three of us. But doing my research, I might be wrong in saying this, but did you coach a men's team in the Netherlands?
I did. I coached the top men's team here in Holland. The first period of time that I was assistant coach, we won the competition twice in the 2 years that I coached.
Pretty successful.
Absolutely fantastic. We had a fantastic team, and we were really good. And then I moved to the girls, and then from the women back to the men, where I took over as head coach. And in that period of time, we were undefeated until I got asked to do the national team. So it was a fantastic time. Yeah.
Just following up on that, I think in probably the vast majority of sports around the world, you've got a really clear split between you're either a coach of the men or a coach of the women, but you have coached both men and women, and hockey just seems like a sport that is more like the genders are less segregated, where like the women can play with men and they're just probably viewed by as many people as men, and women can coach men can coach women. Is that, like, obviously it's a good thing, but what are your views on why that is?
Oh, look, I think it happens not often enough. I think it's, this has actually been a subject of discussion the last months. Why there's not more women coaching at all. There's a lack of women coaching in sport. I think there's a lack of women coaching men's sport. I think that there's this given that it's never questioned why men coach women, but it's always questioned why should women be able to coach men?
That's wrong.
So I think it begins with that question, and it begins there. Why is it assumed? And I just think that needs to be this. If you ask the same question there to men, then we might be getting more answers to it. I believe that women are more empathetic than men. I think that women have more emotional intelligence than men. I think that men move much quicker into the ego side of things. Who's sort of guerrilla attitude, hitting yourself on the chest, making yourself big, roaring, using your voice. And women are much more empathetic and have a higher emotional intelligence, so they're able to be much more successful with teams, I think, if given the chance.
Definitely. I can't believe it's like 2020. I don't even know why genders still comes into the discussion. It just should be the best candidate should come into the thing. So, but it's good that you obviously got that opportunity to coach the men's team, and just shows that hopefully slowly it is starting to get better. But I think Harper mentioned that still the Australian women's team hasn't had a female coach. Is that correct?
I believe so.
Well, hopefully that will change soon.
Yeah, you got any ambitions for that in the future, or can you not say?
Oh, look, I've applied for it in the past. I just didn't get the job.
Yeah.
Which was definitely disappointing.
Was that recently?
And
Or
no, look, I've not recently, no. But I applied for it. I didn't get the job, and now I'm the Dutch women's coach. A number of years ago, I'd had a second chat about applying for the job, but chose not to because I had a job here, and applying for a job and not knowing whether you'd get it or not, and having a job here, yeah, there's no doubt that you'll go for the one where you've got a signed contract.
Well, coaching the number one team in the world, it's a pretty good job as it is, doing a good job over there.
Oh, look, I have never. I've always said that I'd love to coach the Australian women's hockey team. I think I've gotten a lot out of playing in that team, so I've never been quiet about wanting to coach it. But the opportunity hasn't ever arisen. I've never got the job, and I am coaching the best team in the world now. So that's where it is at this point.
So just on that, so obviously the coaching, so I was listening to another podcast in preparation to, you spoke about something that you feel like makes you so successful is the fact that before start of every session you do 25 to 30 minutes of just basic skills. And I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe just from my playing the sport, but I feel like maybe 10 or 15 years ago, sort of went away from a bit like that, the basic skills just weren't practiced enough. Is that, maybe that was different in hockey, but it's really an important thing just to practice the basics, even if you're playing at the highest level.
Look, it's a struggle here also in Holland, when I say, look, our sessions are pretty standard, so we have the same build-up in our training sessions pretty much every session. So every session involves 15 to 20, 25 minutes of basic skills. Why do I do that? Is because you need to learn that at different levels and different speeds. If everyone can stand still and be good, but the game's not played standing still. The game's played moving and running at different speeds and different directions. So you need to train that. That's not just trained playing games. There's this whole thing about small games and playing a lot of small games, but you need to be able to hit the ball, receive the ball, pass the ball and receive the ball at a very high level. Now, that's only done if you practice that.
is it different at club level? Because obviously you're not with all your players constantly because you're only the national coach, but is it different? The club coaches have a different view on that?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we spend a lot of time doing it ourselves. And look, every coach has their own way of coaching and training, and you have to respect that, and that's something that I do. I respect the coaches that coach them. They play an integral role in our program because they see the players more often than I see them through the week. So we don't have a full-time program like the Hockeyroos do. So I'm dependent on what they do and how they train. So, we have a pretty good contact with ensuring that we're doing the right things. But in the end, they decide what they do with their players.
I know we've got lots of aspiring national team coaches listening to the show. Have you got any tips for keeping a good team unity, have good bonds between all of your players at a national level, because they all are at, or maybe 4 or 5 different clubs in the Netherlands case?
Oh, look, the first thing is you need to be open and you need to be honest. Open in your communicating with the players, and that's back and forward. So you need to, if you're willing to, my motto is every question that you ask, you need to be willing to answer. So if I'm asking the players to be the best that they can be, and I'm criticizing or, giving feedback on that, they should be able to do the same thing back to me. So that's open and honest communication with each other. So it's, that's where it starts. And that's where a good relationship with a player starts, is being able to get the best out of each other. I need the players to get to become a better coach. They need me to become a better player. So that's, it's a two-way thing. The second thing is, I think that you need to allow fun. A lot of the time, you're in the national team, this has to be serious, and you have to train hard, and training hard is serious environment, and you can't laugh, and that's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. There are moments when you ask for full concentration. You need to be committed now 100%, where we're serious about what we're doing. And there's moments where you allow for a lot of fun and enjoyment. That needs to be part of your program. Fun needs to be part of your program. You need to have enjoyment and pleasure in what you're doing.
You succeed when you're enjoying what you're doing.
Exactly. If you have a player turning up and she's just not happy, it's your job to find out why, and it's your job to change that. That's coaching. Coaching's not about what happens on the field. Look, there's trainers and there's coaches. A trainer puts cones on the field and ensures that what we're practicing is applicable to how we want to play. A coach coaches behaviours.
Which is why I guess your management skills that you learned from the business, like your business that you're managing earlier, is so important to the role that you're currently doing.
Absolutely, and coaching is about observing. So I have 2 assistants who do most of the sessions. So I'm on the field, and I'm giving feedback.
What is your staff like? What is your current staff like? Now you mentioned that, so you have 2 assistants.
I have a full-time assistant/analyst. I have, and the rest that I will mention are all part-time. Mostly we just at the training. I have assistant trainers, my analyst who videos all of our sessions as well. I have 2 doctors, 3 physios, 2 physiologists, a strength and conditioning, 2 clinical psychologists, 1 sports psychologist. I have a dietitian. I have a video operator. I have a goalkeeping trainer as well, who's responsible for the goalkeepers. And I have someone at the hockey office who does all of sort of my planning and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. But you mentioned right at the start when we were talking about the Netherlands, you've been there for like 20 years now, but I'm really curious about how the hockey culture and the hockey scene in the Netherlands has shaped you, and on the flip side of that, how you've shaped their hockey culture, if at all. Don't be too modest here, but would you care going into that?
Look, like I said at the beginning, I made the mistake of trying to, impose the hockey culture and the sports culture of Australia into the Dutch way of living. In Holland, they segment supporters in football matches, soccer matches. So it's kind of like this. It's completely different to what we're used to. So for me, I needed to really take a look at the culture in Holland. It's very yes buts. Yeah, everything's yes buts. They need an explanation about everything. And in Australia, you don't need to explain everything. In Holland, they need to know the what and the why and the how and the when. Before you even began, which I didn't take into account in the beginning. So I balanced that out of when it's necessary to know that and when it's not necessary. So that's like an integration of both of the cultures. What I also did is, we're in Australia, I think we're more owners of our own development than what we are in Holland. In Holland, it's because it's such a small country, it's very easy to put ownership of your development onto those around you. I moved to Perth. Now Rick is responsible for my development. That's not a case. That's not the case in Australia. You're there and you need to keep developing because you make the choice to move there. You So you really keep ownership of your development in Australia. And in Holland, it's very much because everything's accessible. There's a field pretty much everywhere. You can parents bring you to training, or you're riding a bike that's pretty expensive, or a scooter or a car. It's much easier here, and having it been easier, you take less ownership and less responsibility. When I started coaching the national team, that was one of the first things I changed. Look, if you want this, you need to do it yourself. I'm the coach. I don't have all the answers, and I'm happy to say as a coach that we don't have all the answers. And I think any coach who thinks they have the answer to everything, then you need to stop coaching, because that's do something different.
So you're constantly looking to improve in any way or any new methods, yeah.
Every day, and also being vulnerable, letting the players know I don't have the answer to this, but I will find it. I'll find someone who does know the answer. And putting back the responsibility into the players is one of the biggest things that we've changed.
I was going to say, I don't know why some people are afraid to admit that they don't know something, or I just don't get that. I feel like there's nothing wrong with, being vulnerable, like you said, and just acknowledging it's like, I don't have all the answers, but I'm working as hard as I can to find them. Like,
just being human. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, but it's also a position where if you don't say that, if you're not open to saying, look, I will make mistakes. One of the first things I've said, look, I will make mistakes in our endeavour to be the best, because I don't know if the path we choose will be the right one. I'll know that when we've won or lost, but I will choose a path together with our staff that we think it is the best path. You guys will have to help us and give us feedback on whether it's working along the way, but I don't know if the path we choose is the right path. And, that honesty with your players means growth together.
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect little segue to our last question. It's, do you have any life philosophy, any little quote that you live by that you think that, I guess, you sort of like base decisions on, or that you feel like, emulates anything with how you go about it? Yeah,
look, the biggest thing for me is keep learning and endeavour to be the best that you can be in every way possible.
Nice and simple.
That's pretty much it. And have fun along the way. If I stop enjoying what I'm doing, then I'll stop coaching.
Yeah, Lockie, I've got to say, I reckon we could make a motivational book out of all the life philosophies we've got from our guests, because it's some pretty inspirational stuff. But, Alyson, we finished up with the questions, but we're going to get into our final segment. This is a very famous segment we've got. It's called the Where Do We Begin quiz.
Uh-oh.
So I've got 5 questions. I'm going to pit you against Lockie, and they're 5 questions, all very, very vaguely related. They've got some loose connection to you and your career. So I've got 5 questions. Your name is your buzzer. And as per tradition, I'm going to start with question 1. Are we ready to go?
Feeling good about this one.
You are? All right.
Lockie's on a bit of a bad run of form, so hopefully for him, he can pick this up. But Alyson, I'm going for you, as always support our guests on the quiz. But our first question, am I correct in saying your birthday is June 12th?
Alyson, no.
No? Really? Is it actually not June 12th?
No, it's not June 12th.
Oh my God. I've looked it up on the Wikipedia page or somewhere, and it says it was June 12th.
No, it's 21st of June. It's the other way around.
Oh, cut this bit out, Harps.
Oh, my God. I've based like 2 questions on June 12th. Okay. Anyway, I'll just admit to our listeners.
I've got an idea. We'll just change. We'll sneak into the records office, change her birth certificate. Yeah. Nobody will know a thing.
Yeah,
perfect. Yeah. Anyway,
I was like, is this a joke? Or?
We'll just say a couple of questions aren't going to be related to your career at all, but I'll ask them anyway. So let's just say that hypothetically, your birthday is June 12th. A famous event that happened on June 12th. A famous event that happened on June 12th in 1942. It was in Amsterdam, and someone received a diary as a birthday present. Who was that?
Lockie, and Frank.
And Frank is absolutely correct. Start off with an easy one. Lockie, build your confidence, and then we'll let Alyson shoot you down the next few questions.
Oh, gee whiz. I'm feeling good about this one, Harps.
Okay.
I reckon you've got all the questions, Lockie. I reckon this is like Except for the June 12th, that spun you up a bit. Yeah. All right, let's go.
That's embarrassing for me. Sorry about that. Anyway, question 2. So obviously, I know for a fact that your name is Alyson, so I can't get that wrong. And another Alyson, there's a footballer called Alyson who plays as a goalkeeper for Liverpool and Brazil, having earned 44 caps for Brazil so far. Can you name someone, a man or a woman, who's had more caps for the Brazilian football team?
Lockie. Thiago Silva.
Thiago Silva is absolutely correct. I'll have a look at the Wikipedia page, and Thiago Silva has had 93 caps for the Brazil national team. So Lockie's 2-0 up. But
how on earth do you choose Thiago Silva?
The song.
And not a Ronaldinho or someone like that? Or he's too, he's too old for you or not? You don't know who that is.
There's a song that I think Lockie might be into. He's into his rap and his hip hop and stuff called Thiago Silva, so he probably knows it from there. Alyson, would you have said Pele or Ronaldinho or something, I'm guessing?
Yeah, Ronaldinho.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, you're still on it, Alyson, so don't get your head down just yet. We're up to question 3. So I believe the date where you won your first Olympic gold medal was the 1st of August 1996. Have I got that right? Or you don't know?
I have no idea.
I think it was. Let's just hope. Please don't look that up, any listeners. Anyway, another thing that happened on the 1st of August 1996 was George R.R. Martin publishing the first novel in his series, A Song of Ice and Fire. Which TV show was both named after this novel?
Game of Thrones.
Lockie. Nailed it. Game of Thrones is absolutely correct.
I have never watched it, Game of Thrones. Never seen it.
Oh.
Neither. You have Lockie, I'm guessing?
Love it. Apart from season 1 to 6 is good.
Yeah, okay.
Never seen it. Never seen it.
Yeah, I haven't really got any intentions of checking it out, really. But we'll move on to question 4. Another June 12 question, I'm afraid, that doesn't relate to your career. But question 4. It's another June 12 question, I'm afraid.
Look, that spun me because I have no idea what happens on June 12th. My whole life's based around June 21st.
That's completely torn the quiz apart by misinterpretation of the Wikipedia page. Anyway, question 4. This is a closest to the pin question. So closest to the pin. Nelson Mandela was sentenced to life in prison on June 12 of which year?
71.
71 is incorrect, but it's closest to the pin, so we'll give Lockie a shot.
I've got no idea. Was it? I'll go 76.
76 is also incorrect, and I can confirm that it was 1964, so Alyson's got the point. We love that from
64.
you, Alyson.
But by the way, Harps, it just goes to show you can't trust Wikipedia. So any kids who are basing their assignments off Wikipedia, do the work first. Harper is a perfect example here. Don't be like Harper.
I can say I did look up Alyson's Wikipedia page just then, and it does say the 21st of June. So I checked that about 3 times, and I must have just had in my head this June 12.
I reckon Alyson has edited it while we've been recording to fix it up just to make you look like even sillier, mate.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. Anyway, question 5. It's 3-1 to Lockie, but Alyson, you're still in the game.
3-1. I got the first one. Hold on. No, I got the first one. Alyson 12.
No,
Lockie buzzed in on the first one. Yeah.
No. I said no. Or did you say yes? I missed that.
Lockie said and. The June 12 one. That wasn't an actual question. So.
Right. Now you. Okay, so you guys are playing false. So I can't win. Is this for double points? Is this like winner takes all?
It's not for double points, but it is a who am I question. So I'm going to go down from 5 points all the way down to 1 point with a series of clues, all leading up to the person who I am. And once you buzz in and get it wrong, you can't buzz in again until the other person gets it wrong as well. So, Alyson, you've got to get 3 points to win this outright. So we'll start with a 5-point clue. I was born on the 5th of May, 1988 in London, England, and I can confirm that is the actual birthday. It's not something, a misreading of the Wikipedia page.
I've got no idea.
We'll move on to the 4-point clue. It's a bit tricky getting it from there. For 4 points, After graduating from the Brit School in 2006, I signed a recording contract with XL Recordings. So born in 88.
I thought you said 98.
88. 5th of May, 88.
88.
Yep. I'll move on to the
5th
three-point
of
clue.
May, 88.
Yep. Should I move on to the 3-point clue?
Okay.
Yeah, all right. 3-point clue. So you got to get it here to win it outright, Alyson. I released my debut album in 2008, and it went on to go 8 times platinum in the UK and triple platinum in the US. Since then, I've released 2 more albums, most of which I have written myself.
Yeah. Alyson.
Go for it.
Adele.
Adele is absolutely correct. That is very good. Well done. You into Adele?
Yeah, I like Adele, yeah.
Yeah, and of course, same initials as you. That's how it's related to you. Adele Atkins is her full name.
Oh,
So there you go. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. I just call her Adele. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people do. That's a great comeback, Alyson. Well done. Lockie, what do you have to say for yourself?
I think
Speechless.
the better person won in my view.
Yeah, agreed,
By the way,
agreed.
Alyson, you have my bank details, for me throwing that quiz.
Yeah, it's all right. Yeah, no problem.
I'm refreshing.
Alyson, I know that's going to be one of the most, one of your proudest achievements in your career so
It's
far.
up there with
So
the
just-
2000 Olympics.
Exactly. All your gold medals, everything. We'll send the medal and the cash prize out to you as soon as we can. But I think we'll leave it there. I want to thank you very much for coming on, Alyson Annan. It was great to speak to you.
No problem. Thanks, guys. You do it really good. It's really fun. Thanks.
Wow, how good was that, Harps?
Alyson Annan was super interesting to get perspective of a coach, because we never had a coach in the podcast, of course, and someone that lives overseas, lives in the Netherlands, and a hockey player, sport many of us might not be familiar with, but super duper interesting, Alyson Annan.
Yeah, just loved having her on. Thank you so much. We appreciate it so much that you jumped onto the podcast. And now it's time to plug the socials. So you can find us on Facebook at Where Do We Begin, and you can find us on Instagram and Twitter at WDWBpod. That's WDWBpod. So please follow us on the socials. It helps massively. Recommend us to your friends, your family, your dog, just whoever.
Yeah, exactly. But many people have been awaiting this moment, getting back into the music. We didn't do it last week, but we're going to get back into this. So this week we've got a song by Molly Shears and Sophia Winter, great mates of mine, did VCA music this year, finished their year 12. They recorded a cover of the Yebba song in this very studio, actually, called My Mind, cover of the Yebba song. So I'll let them take it away. Thank you very much for listening, guys. This is My Mind by Molly Shears and Sophia Winter.
To 3, you closed the door and laid down next to me. But then I heard you say her name in your sleep. Your dirty secrets too far gone to keep. About to lose my head. I'm about I know it's a lie. When I work so hard to keep you satisfied, I'm about to lose my about to lose my mind, my mind, my mind. About to lose my mind, my mind, yeah, my mind. About to lose my how could you do that? Do this to me? No way, she can't take you away from me. And I sure won't stay, but I'll be damned if I ever leave. No way, she won't take you away.